Hello and welcome back. We are here with our Ada Lovelace run, and we are covering our transition here into the exploration age from Antiquity. This age, in terms of mementos and civilization, we were playing the Greeks. We were trying to lean into city-states with our open, gaining 100 influence, and also 1 production per age and settlements for each city-state you were suzerain of. The idea is we were trying to play a very not explosive start that I thought was still viable or still potentially viable, and we ended up getting a lot of steam, kind of having a really weak beginning of the age, but then snowballing with the combination of how strong suzerains are, the fact that we were able to suzerain a whole lot of people, and also with Ada Lovelace's just abilities in general, where she is giving 2 science per age when you complete a civic mastery. With suzerains, you get a lot of free civics you would not have otherwise researched, and that's one of the disadvantages of going for them. However, Ada Lovelace turns this into an advantage by allowing you to generate a whole bunch of tech and then a whole bunch of culture. In terms of how we have done towards the end of the age, I think that we made some mistakes, and we could have definitely had the strength to quadruple Golden Age, but also it felt relatively difficult. I think that we were kind of poo-pooing our performance in the last episode that we talked about, and kind of hemming and hawing, and it is that we came so close to the quad Golden Age and also future tech, future civic, that I think made me feel relatively bad about this. But after seeing a lot of our other kind of performances and runs in general, where we don't even quad golden, I actually do think that this is maybe a reasonable start and a pretty solid performance here. Just to kind of look through it, we did Golden Age in culture. We failed to hit the second militaristic legacy point, and this is really important because we will not have fealty as an option in the next stage for +2 settlement limit. I think next stage, the really hard legacy path to accomplish is economic, and I think fealty helps a lot for doing that because the settlement limit, importantly, allows you to add more treasure fleet resources faster, and lacking this as a resource to help us to get treasure fleet resources will cause us difficulties. And so this is one that we kind of are lamenting not having gotten, and I think that had we played differently, we definitely could have gotten. If we had made it so that we integrated one of the city-states at the very end, we could have gotten it. Economic, we also failed to hit the Golden Age in, but we got a little bit short. There's a few adjustments we could have made. We could have integrated this as a city-state, which would have done a lot, which would have maybe even connected these two, which are currently unconnected from our other cities, which was causing us problems to slot in. But also, we considered settling right here far earlier. There are 6 or 5 slottable resources in here, and we probably should have just taken this settle early, even though it wasn't one of the best settles, because this is a fairly solid settle. 5 resources, it is on the coast, it does not have that many tiles, but it still would have been good enough. And also just settling faster is definitely something you want to be interested in, and so we didn't quite get the Golden Age in here. We did get the Science Golden Age as well, and we've also researched Future Tech and Future Civic once a piece. They each give you a wildcard attribute point, and also a tech boost or civic boost in the starting next stage, which is something that's pretty substantive. When a lot of what your points give you in terms of legacy paths just ends up being an attribute point, the fact that we get 2 is probably, or is definitely, more valuable than any single 1 attribute point. And also the civic boost or tech boost on top of this does make this actually probably slightly better than a quad Golden Age performance, although we are not going to be entering with a bunch of cities because we did not get the Golden Age for the economic sphere. And so I think in general you want to kind of enter with as many cities as possible using the economic Golden Age, and we will not have that resource available, nor fealty, and so overall it kind of comes back down to being probably about as worth as much as a quad Golden Age. But this performance I do think is solid enough, and it's solid with us intentionally choosing a strategy that we thought was going to be very, very slow but viable. Just taking, that's not the right tab. Very, very slow but viable in that we didn't get any advantages until we created our first suzerain, any advantages whatsoever in our opener, and also we didn't get a civic or a tech mastery for the first 40 or 50 turns, so we didn't get anything out of our leader either. And still being able to do this, I think it just kind of shows the power level of both city-states and also Ada Lovelace once she gets rolling at the very least. Let's take a look at what we are going to transition to and mementos and this stuff. All right, so looking at the civs, I think we have three choices that we're going to be considering, and that's Mongolia, Norman, and Shawnee. A big part of Mongolia and Norman is, I believe we have 6 horse resources, and we kind of wanted to lean into cavalry as a bit of an experiment and try and push that a little bit more and see what we can do militaristically. I do think Norman is, of course, the most on theme for Ada Lovelace. Norman's eventually becoming British or / English, and then proceeding on to Great Britain. That is certainly the reasonable one. I think Shawnee is mainly the consideration because I think they're probably the strongest civ. They have a very, very strong infantry unit. We had mostly infantry in the previous age with a ton of hoplites, so we're going to have infantry rolling over rather than cavalry, and so we would have a lot of strength out the gate, and then they do get a lot of production off of a very, very strong tradition. But we do want to play with kind of these other civs, and so I think the better choice would be Shawnee, but we're going to go with either Norman or Mongolia. And there's a particular thing we are interested in trying out, and that is the Erdene Zoo, which is normally a pretty late acquired wonder, which gives you extra culture when you finish a cavalry unit. It's a proportion of the cavalry unit's cost. I think with this, we can propel ourselves, and that this pairs nicely with Ada Lovelace, because Ada Lovelace gives extra science per cultural civic or cultural mastery you've completed, or civic mastery you've completed. This would allow us to get civic masteries ramped up earlier, and to possibly ramp faster with Ada, but also to perhaps get multiple future civics as a result of really stacking the production and getting this wonder pretty early. I also do think, as we mentioned earlier, that settlement limit is going to be a bit of a difficulty for us as, we transition to the next age. And I think that Mongolia does get the most settlement limit just raw, and so that will help us since we will not be getting the +2 per the age bonus. So with that in mind, we're going to switch off the Shiza necklace, +100 influence when you become suzerain of a city-state. This is kind of okay, but it is going to start scaling negatively because this is a flat amount, and it requires more and more influence in order to get someone, and we're just not going to be able to do that. Incidentally, I think Shawnee do get an additional tradition that helps them out with creating suzerains, but we're not going to be going Shawnee, and instead we're going to go Corona Civica, which will give +1 settlement limit per age, but +50% cost to convert. This is going to be a little bit painful because we will not be able to convert initially, all of our cities, but I do think that this will be good enough for us, and we will be able to generate a lot of gold as the Mongols. And then we will also go with Wampum Belt again, +1 production per age and settlements for each city-state you're a suzerain of. I think that this is actually just a really strong memento in general if you're getting suzerains, and this is one of the big payouts for suzeraining multiple people, and so we're going to be going with that. And so we'll go Corona Civica, Wampum Belt, and then we will choose here Mongolia and take a little bit of a closer look. Alright, so let's take a closer look in on the Mongols and see what we're getting ourselves into, namely a lot of juicy settlement limit and also an earlier Erdene Zoo. So taking a look here, we have the Or2, which will allow us to move our units a lot better and also give us +5 gold. That's pretty nice. +4 settlements not founded for you for each resource assigned to them is a bit of an interesting one that will allow us to overcome a lot of the penalties we'll be getting by, subjugating people and fighting people on our original continent. Captured towns do not cost double to convert into cities. This is going to be nice. And also +1 settlement limit. That's the first one. Just the first one. From here, we have +1 settlement limit, that's 2, and receive 1 Noyan in the capital, okay. And then we have +1, here, let's get it where you can see it, +1 movement to cavalry units is going to be quite strong for clip-clopping around the continent, and then also +5 combat strength for cavalry units. And that is going to be a tradition, and that is going to scale pretty well here. But also, +1 settlement limit. So that's, counting is tough, but that's 1, 2, 3 so far. Here we have also +25% production in cities not founded by you. This is like fairly strong if the AI was better at settling cities and you could primarily lean into cities not being founded by you, but it also does make Mongolia a bit of a nice transition if you are planning to or have a bunch of conquered cities. And also the Or2 receives +4 gold in settlements you did not found. That's well enough. And then here we have the 4th +1 settlement limit. And so despite us not having to, you know, the settlement limit that we would prefer. We're still getting it in other spots, and we're going to try not to use it too much on the continent and use it instead for treasure fleet resources. But we'll also have the Ordenizu, which is creating a cavalry unit, and this includes the free cavalry unit we get from conquering settlements, I believe. Grants culture equal to 25% of the cost. Now, so this is just effectively a super caked up, you know, version of just doing, civic research, or using your production directly to produce a civic or cultural festival here, 25% of the city's production, which, okay, this is not really that great a yield, but the fact that you can do this and get your units, your cavalry units for free on top of that is going to be quite strong, and it's going to be something that we're leaning into here a little bit. And just to quickly go over the Mongols, we will be gaining more progress for conquering stuff on our homeland, but we will have minus 50% production towards training settlers. In this age, you generally don't really push settlers out with production that much anyways. Often you're doing gold in order to get them, so that's not too big a deal. And then we will see here, we do get a Noyan, a unique commander, and a Keshig, a unique ranged unit here. Has +1 movement and heals after defeating an enemy unit. Counts as a cavalry unit, but it is our archer, and ignores zone of control. And so we're excited to use this. I do think it's going to be really strong. And the fact that it counts as a cavalry unit is going to be really nice, because taking a final look kind of at what we are getting in terms of this, we have 4 horses. I could have sworn we had a little bit more horses. We have horse. This one's not worked yet. That's what it was about. We have horse. And then taking a quick look around, I do believe we have, there's another one. So that's 4, 5. And so 5 in total, or we can't count. Probably we can't count. There's 3 down here and 2 up here. That is in fact 5, and so we are going to be getting into this a little bit here by choosing our legacies. Now, the exploration age, of course, begins. We can't skip the animation, big sad, but I guess we kind of can. Here, we will want to get militaristic attribute points up to level 3, and we will generally not have too many levels. I think that we don't have very many levels right now, but what we want is the extra settlement limit. But we also kind of want 1 free war support in all of our wars, and ignoring the happiness penalty, unrest, and capital captured settlements. Both of these also suit us quite fine, and so we will take a militaristic attribute point, and then keeping in mind that we have 2 wildcard points, so we could spend the wildcard points in that way if we so choose. And so we are going to come in and look at our legacies and pick the militaristic attribute point. Here we have amphitheaters become Golden Age amphitheaters. They'll retain their base yields, adjacency bonus, and effects in the next age. Generally, I've found these to be a lot weaker than the economic one, but we don't have the economic one. We will be just picking up 2 of these, and so we could perhaps go amphitheaters. I think that we don't have enough amphitheaters for this to be worth it, and we would prefer to get a combination of cultural and diplomatic attribute points here. Because I think that we're going to, in general, be having, I think we have like 2 amphitheaters. And we don't have amphitheaters because we didn't get too many cities and we kind of ramped a little bit slowly. I think that we did not end up having amphitheaters all out and about and everywhere. And so, like, taking a look here, we do have an amphitheater here. We will maybe have an amphitheater. We'll probably have an amphitheater in the capital. But it's looking like, just kind of looking at the terrain, that we don't have amphitheaters in other cities. So I think for just 2 amphitheaters, or 2 things that became cities, we'd have 3. I think that if we think about this in terms of a yields perspective, they retain their adjacency bonuses. They retain, a lot of value when it comes to, specialists, because the specialists stay. But we can just gain diplomatic and cultural attribute points instead, and this will maybe give us 10, 15 culture and something like this, and I don't think that's quite enough to cut it. So we're going to take a look over at what we have on the attribute points for diplomacy. We want to make sure we already have the level 2. We do. We would not mind getting up to here, but then after that, it becomes a little bit worse until you get to that. Taking a look at this, we do want culture and settlements for each city resource assigned to them, and I think culture for each alliance would be fine with us. So we'll go 2 cultural attribute points and 1 diplo attribute point here for our choices on the legacy path. And so we will put that in. And next up, we will have Great Library, or we will have the Science Golden Age here. And this one's a little bit different in that we have if we go to double scientific attribute point, right, then we will be wasting a point. And we do have some academies, but it's much kind of the same type of logic that our academies, I think that we will have 3 academies in these 3 cities that we have made, but science at the beginning of the age is kind of nice, because I do think you want to beeline shipbuilding really fast. You want to get Carto relatively early, although we already have our Eureka bonus on Carto, courtesy of the bonus we got in the previous age for that. We will also have a Eureka bonus or progress bonus on Piety for the same reason, and so we might be picking that up early. We will pick that up early here. And so I think that it maybe makes sense to go for... I think that this is... It's difficult for this to... It's certainly going to be worth more than plus 10 science, and this is a little bit of a tough decision, but I think the extra scientific attribute point, do we really think that that's more valuable than the Great Library Science Golden Age? And if it is, then that's a little bit tough. I think that we'll have a little bit of a think here. So after a little bit of thought, I think we're going to go for a militaristic attribute point. We have to, decide to burn this point here, and we would rather have an additional militaristic attribute point than spend this point in order to get the scientific, get the Great Library Golden Age. I think that overall the attribute points are just kind of worth more than your ability to go this Great Library Golden Age, and we would have to give up 1 attribute point in order to do that, because we have 1 science left over and we can't spend it on anything, and we would need 2 science to be able to use this. We definitely want to move the capital. When we move the capital, it will effectively give us another city, because Athena will remain a city. We're going to move the capital over to Olympia, but before we do that, we want to upgrade stuff to cities, because the cost of upgrading to cities is based on the population as well as how many cities you already have. And so what we're going to want to do is we are going to want to start with the lowest pop place and upgrade that place first that we want to get to city. I think we could get 3 settlements to cities here. I think we're going to go for Coronthenos, Mycenae. This is going to stay a town probably, because there's like no production in there. And we will use that for influence maybe. And then Thera, we will also upgrade to cities. And so we want to start with the lowest pop place first, because this place is already at the floor. If we do it in reverse order, this place is going to end up being quite expensive, but we'll convert this to a city here. And then we will see this next one will be more expensive in price, up to 350. We'll convert it to a city. And then our highest pop place will benefit more from being higher pop. You see it's at 22 pop, but it only costs us 200, that's the floor, to upgrade to cities. So we can maybe get away with upgrading another settlement, probably not here. And so we're going to upgrade Thera to a city, and then having done all that, we can now come in and choose the legacy path and move the capital to Olympia in order to gain an additional city here. So we will be in here, even though we couldn't do this economic golden age, which would allow us to have all our things as cities, we still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of our 7 settlements as cities, which is pretty strong, especially considering we're uncertain if we want to even move this off of being a town anyways, considering it's not working the best tiles. It's really not the best town, and so that'll be what it is. And Argus, we probably would have preferred as a city, but in either case, we are going to be very, very solid on, the number of settlements that are making use of having production rather than having gold. Coming into here, we will now have a bunch of points to spend. I think we're going to go for culture in settlements for each resource assigned to them, and then also culture for every alliance that you have. I think that this percentage culture, I think, is going to be better when we have at least 1 alliance. I think we're going to have at least 1 alliance, and so that'll be good. The culture per specialist, I think, is fine, though, as well, but we're going to go with that. For diplomatic, we are going to go for 2 science and culture for every city-state you are suzerain of. We're planning on getting a few of those. That flat amount will be quite nice. Economic, we will get the gold per age on palace and city halls. This is nice considering how low we are on the gold. And then we will definitely go gold for every tech and civic mastery complete in this age. age, we're going to be completing a lot of those, both as Ada and also leaning into the city-states. And we don't really, this pathway, I think, is a little bit weaker, and the purchasing and settlements path, I think, is a little bit stronger. We are going to lament not having any expansionist attribute points. However, we still have 2 wildcard points. So we're going to go gain 1 free war support on wars, ignore happiness penalty, settlement limit here, and then we're probably going to use our expansionist point over here. We will go have a little bit of a choice here. We can go science in settlements for each resource assigned to them, or science on quarters. I think that these are probably going to be similar in power level, but the one that is going to be leading underneath is going to be, I think science for every alliance you have is going to be a little bit better, but it looks like both of these can do science per alliance. I do think we would like to be able to have +1 science per specialist, though, eventually, and if I'm not mistaken, this is the one that will lead into that. And so we are going to go for this. Looks like it leads into everything. And then we will +1 science per specialist. I think we'll go for per alliance right now. But we will be picking this up next time we get a point. And then we have the 1 wildcard point left over. I think we're going to start working on this, wanting to, by the time we get to next age, getting down to extra food and happiness towards maintaining specialists. In particular, 25% food refunded, I think, is pretty good, or is like one of the stronger type of food bonuses you can get, insofar as food can be good. And so this would be nice to get. We could have gotten that instead of the settlement limit, but I think we're going to be happy with the settlement limit now being 7 out of 11. And then that's kind of our setup here as we have it in the transition. We aren't doing anything too interesting with the resources here, just looking to have kind of even amount of production and of food in all of our cities so that our cities can kind of grow. In theory, we would want to prioritize the higher pop cities with the food, but we're just going to look to have it roughly even. And in every single one of our cities, we're opening by producing a stonecutter. We're probably going to do stonecutter into bazaar because I don't think we're going to have any other buildings relatively quickly, except for ones we get off cartography, which is going to be none, although we will be getting a relatively early, piety, so we will maybe build temples in some of these as well. So we also buy a scout out of Thera with the idea that we are getting Carto in 3 turns per the future tech, giving us this tech boost, and in 3 turns we will be able to move this over, and we will be able to get it into the new lands to help us scout around along with our cog. Normally we like to try and get 1 city on each side of the coast and buy a cog out of that, but this is our closest city that can buy a cog. That's not very close to this coast. We might not be going for settlements over here, or we might need to capture something, or we might end up just buying a cog and slowly winding it around the southern coast, but this is going to be quite some time before we get in on these new lands over here, but we're going to be more focused domestically. We have had all of the new city-states appear here, and we are ready to seize some up. Unfortunately, we do not get a science one. The science one is important because this one gives you free tech. We do receive a bit of a low roll here that we are quite sad about. I think we're still going to seize anyways, and we're going to seize probably starting with the people who we are most concerned with their safety, and also the one that I think is the most important. Vatican, I do think over the course of this age, we do want to incorporate ourselves, and then we are most concerned probably with this one here, because we cannot get our way in there to be able to defend them, and so we will befriend them as well. We, of course, also have this discount as a result of having the social policy of getting 50% progress. This is from the Greeks towards the Befriend Independent Project, and also having it as a result of the attributes of 50% influence towards this. And so this is going to enable us to do this much, much faster than otherwise we would be able to. I think we could also go for a rock side as well, but what we will do is we will try and secure these guys and then go for the suzerains, and so try and be a little bit more consistent. If there's a bunch of troops in Femai and they take out rock side, we would be sad, but here we're just eating the possibility in order to try and maximize city-states and going for this one first, because I do think this one is probably the one we fail, but if we succeed, it will be because we went there first. So we do discover what will be somewhere in here just an absolutely tremendous city to be settling, getting both gold, which is not going to be gold for this age, it's going to be treasure fleet resource, but also another treasure fleet resource here, a whole bunch of resources. Just here looks pretty good. Looks like we would get all 5 of these or 6 of these resources here, which is pretty nice. We're also trying to body block for these city-states with our units. We will want to go to war eventually, but we do have a bit of a part of this age transition that actually feels really weak. We are getting very little gold per turn. Now, we're ramping up production a whole lot by building the quarries over here, but as a matter of timeliness, we would really love if we could buy a settler right now, and we cannot buy a settler right now. We need 560 gold. It's going to be forever till we get 560 gold, at least until we get our economy online with the Ortus. And so maybe we were supposed to go one fewer city and use that gold, keep one of these as a town and use that gold to be able to buy a settler, to be able to settle something like this. This is a very, very beautiful area. And also, we're getting more production. We, again, do not want to produce settlers. Look at this. 10 turns because of the penalty that the Mongols have specifically, and so that will be a bit of a challenge for us. And we're also trying to keep an eye on if they are going for these city-states. We're trying to get over there, then we can block forever. We are suzeraning more of these guys. It looks like none of these guys are getting aggressed on too terribly. I think this will be the next city-state we go for, but we already have 4 or 5 of these currently getting seized, and so we're well on our way to getting a bunch of extra production. And with Ada, with our memento, 1 production per age and settlements for each city-state you're a suzerain of. If we get 5 of these, that'll be 10 production. In our towns, that production will get turned into gold, so this would be plus 20 gold, but also plus 10 production in a town that has 20 production, 25 production, 20 production. That is such a huge boost off of just a single memento, so we are looking on forward to that. And we are going to try and scout out here with this additional scout that we got. We'll try and work our way to the left kind of as much as possible, and we will try and be a little bit more disciplined about looking at the settler tab. The reason for this is by looking at this, we can see where there are potential suzerains for us. If we see one that's friendly and a science suzerain specifically, we'll probably want to try befriending them and also adding support so that we can get them first, because getting the science guy first is very, very powerful. And maybe we should have done a little bit of scouting before committing to these Suzes, but I think we want to get our production economy online with Wampum Belt, giving us +1 or +2 per suzerain, because now we're in the second age. We get an alliance opportunity, very great. And so, speaking of great, with Catherine the Great, and this is going to allow us to trigger any sort of attribute choices that we have made that give us a plus per alliance. We have one for culture. I think we have one for science as well at this point, plus 10% science. So plus 10% science and culture. That'll be a nice little buff for us. And also, we are planning on warring Charlemagne and Tecumseh relatively early, and so this will help us out as well. And also, these city-states are more likely to survive to Suzing if we do go to war, because then units both from our ally and our enemy will be pulled off of the city-state relativistically. So we are going to friendly greet the people from the next continent over, because we have quite a bit of influence anyways, and also we will get bonuses per alliance we have, and we're going to be warring 2 people on our continent, so if we can ally people on the other continent, that will be all well and fine by us. So a lot of these endeavors don't scale very well, but at least for the time being, this extra gold per turn is actually going to be quite nice for us, and we want to be friendly with Amina anyways, so the timing on that is pretty good. We did reject from her the one in which we would get combat strength because we didn't need it, but okay. We are going to choose this because I think it scales better, and also, in regards to our production this turn, we will be able to use it to construct Ortus, which will reset movement speed. It cannot be placed on rough river or a tile with a feature, but also this is going to help to solve our gold problems here. We have a narrative choice as well, and I think that we are almost certainly going to, well, why don't we go for happiness towards next celebration, because once we get our celebration, we will get extra production towards cavalry units, and we can prepare for a war on Byzantium by building a whole bunch of cavalry units, and also we will be kind of coming in time to us perhaps getting the Suze bonus off of these guys. Now, we won't be able to get a cavalry bonus, but our cavalry units are archer units, and we can get an archer bonus. You can't get a cavalry bonus in the exploration age, it's not available, but these guys don't count for that because it's a ranged unit. And so we will get an extra bonus both from the horses on them, from them being cavalry, but also on the cavalry bonus that we will get from finishing this guy as a suzerain here in just 6 turns. We will naturally found the religion of the great Beetlestry, as is just and tradition. For our beliefs, we are going to go for relics for the first time conversion of a city-state, as we kind of always do, which makes getting the cultural golden age rather trivial, because all we need to do is just convert 6 city-states. We'll just stack missionaries on top of them for a critical turn. And then for our founders' beliefs, I'm generally uncertain exactly which ones of these are best. I think we have a lot of science and culture in general, and then because of that, it's rather tempting to do tithe, especially because if we're converting, most of what we're converting is city-states, this +4 rather than +X per tile might be just a little bit more consistent, and so we will go with tithe here, and then we will confirm up the great Beetlestry. So we do get a bit lucky here in that we have found ourselves a science city-state that is also friendly with us. So we're going to go for these guys. We're going to boost it. We're not going to be able to get the free tech bonus from all of the places. Like, this will become a Suze too quickly for us, but this is going to be fantastic for us either way. Really, really going to ramp us as we enter the age a little bit here. We do have a little bit of a narrative choice in that we are getting a swordsman. Not too much choice about that. We've gotten several swordsmen now. I think this is our 3rd swordsman, and look at this. He's coming on in. We wish we had more body blockers here. In fact, maybe we should have paid a little bit closer attention, but this one body blocker is going to make a substantive difference in being able to defend these guys who still have 6 turns that they need to survive in order for us to get this bonus. But we also have this, which is our first celebration, and we are going to look for a timing. We are going to switch to production towards cavalry units. We'll put in army experience. We might not need befriending for too much longer, but we'll keep that in for now. And what we are going to do is something that is a kind of not normally how I like to play, which is on every single one of our cities, we're going to swap to producing Keshigs. And so hopefully 5 cities producing these in 3 to 4 turns. By the time we are done with our golden age, we will have something to the tune of 12 to 20 of these units, and be able to really conduct quite a potent war and look to raise/capture a lot of these cities in the southern portion of our continent. In particular, we do want to capture this city, raise these 2, and we want to capture this city, raise these 2, and maybe capture this city, and we have a lot of settlement limit to work with, and soon to be even more settlement limit to work with, and so this will be good for us. As far as tech goes, just our general strategy is going to be rushing shipbuilding as fast as possible so that we can get those treasure their fleets cranking, but in particular, we desperately need to be able to buy a settler to be able to start getting in here, and so this is a little bit rough, and so I'm thinking that we're going to actually have a little bit of a hard time with the treasure fleet victory here in the economic legacy path, but also getting more legacy paths for us is actually a bit of a disadvantage, because we will golden age military probably a lot earlier than we want to as a result of the Mongols' ability to gain it in their own homelands. Unfortunately, the 2 northern independent powers do get taken out before we are able to Suze them, which is going to significantly decrease our power over the course of this age. We did put in extra influence in Roskilde, which allows us to just narrowly get them Suzed up before the enemy can come crashing through, and so that is going to be good for us at the very least. I think that we will immediately bolster their military as well here, hoping that that can kind of help them out to defend against this. this, and we were going to get to choose our city-state bonuses. Now, we are going to get another cultural one sometime soon, it looks like. This is, I think, too gummed up for Byzantium to be able to push through this, and so we have to ask ourselves which is going to be more useful in the immediate future, Stonehead or Suai. I think we're going for both of these. We could go... No, Relic just doesn't make any sense. And so I think that Stonehead in the kind of short term is probably going to be a little bit better, so we're going to go for Stonehead here. And then also, we are going to get to choose a city-state bonus here. Now, +1, you notice we can get combat strength on the infantry and naval units for every city-state we're a suzerain of, and combat strength on the siege units for every one siege units and range units. These range units will apply to our, our unique unit, which counts both as a cavalry unit and as a ranged unit. So we're going to click confirmed here, but we're also up to the 5 horses, so they're going to get +1 combat strength and an additional +1 against infantry and ranged units. So these are going to be looking to have, plus from the number of suzerains, just 2, but an additional +5 from our horses, and soon to be on the suzerains, a 3, and then, 4? Koth is kind of coming in a little bit, they're not coming in at all. And then we do have these guys coming in, though, who will be getting there in 6 turns, we hope. We hope that they do not get taken out as well, but this should be good for us here, as we are about to hit a timing window in terms of the number of units we have. We are really cranking out the units now. We see them completing in all of our cities. We're starting to move them about on the map, and so they are going to be quite useful for us. We can get a free leader promotion or a swordsman. I think we'll take the free promotion, which will be nice as we try and move our units around. I think we're going to also gather these guys up. We're not that worried about Koth too much, and we do want to make sure that we have our units in place for defending Vatican City / pushing over here to the left or the right. Either one will do, I think. And we do have some units up here in the north to kind of defend these north cities, but I think we're going to try and push up from the south into one of these guys first. I'm thinking Tecumseh, but we could push this guy first instead. Tecumseh has some annoying rivers, but I think we could just push from this direction, and it wouldn't be too big a problem. And, yeah, so I think that's going to be... we're going to declare on him, but probably push Tecumseh instead of Byzantium. So we complete 4 Hounds 1, Settlement Limit, and General, and we're going to go for 4 Hounds 2, a little bit of a detour towards our plan of rushing this Wonder, or Denezu, which will give us +5 combat strength for cavalry units. Really, really strong, and it counts towards our archers, and also gives us +1 movement, and we're going to need the help because Shawnee, which is what Tecumseh is playing, I think has the best military unit for this age in particular in terms of combat bonuses, plus they have the deity combat bonus. It doesn't look like they have too many of them. We see one here. I do not recall what they are called, and we see mostly cavalry for here, but those things are going to hit really hard, and so the +5 combat strength on top of the +5 to 10 we are getting off of our horses, and the additional, what is this going to be, 3 to 5 from the city-states. I think that we will have a pretty strong advantage on our archers, and our archers will be able to do work through this, but we are looking to kind of set this up more or less, getting our commanders in place, getting our units in place to be able to fight this guy. Which we will be doing shortly, because he's denounced us as well. They're going to deck on us, almost certainly. We don't necessarily need to deck on them, but it's looking like a rumble is going to be happen. So we get decked on first here by Tecumseh, who's looking to just get it in there without bothering to wait for the denounce to get us down into hostile. We were planning on declaring on him the turn he turns hostile, but this works out well and fine for us. Charlemagne will be in on it. Of course he is. We keep calling him Byzantium. It's the purple talking, but we are going to get to see just what our guys are made of here, and +3 from combat strength from city-states you're a suzerain of right now, and +10, giving us a total of +43. That's going to be pretty hefty. And so we are going to be able to try and do work here and take out all these units of Tecumseh's and see if we can, well... We'll get this guy in. We might not even need this army to really do too much. We'll get ready to kind of pull them down. I think we keep them in place here, let them go in on our swordsmen, and then that way our cavalry can come in from behind and get things done. So maybe we move this unit around a little, anticipating that he is going to get close to the river, and we want to make a little bit of room for this guy. This guy can come around. We're damaging him up here. It's interesting that they don't get a turn of combat when they deck you first, and here we get kind of the bad-ish news, which is with the difficulty bonus, man oh man, the course are still pretty strong here. The thing is we are just going to be able to get down a ton of damage by having a ton of shots, and so we will probably be able to make pretty good on this, and these guys will be really flexible and high movement. I think that we actually don't want to take out the settler pretty significantly, because I think we want the settler to thrive, really. We want them to settle someplace, because once they settle someplace, then we can take it. We moved our guys around in a circle because we're bad at the game. And then, yeah, it's just looking like it's going to be quite a bit of damage that we get down, but we maybe have to pull this back here. I don't know if this kind of setup can cut it. We are on fortified positions, but we also, they have way more units than us and melee units, so maybe this position's soft and this one's strong. There are so many units though, so this does look pretty rough. But we want them to settle so we can take the city, because every time we take a city we get a free unit. Capture a town within 10 turns or capture a city within 20 turns. One war support on all wars, or 900 gold. We would love 900 gold right now. And we get to choose a city-state bonus. We are, of course, going to choose not the Eureka, free technology here. The Reichskreise. But this is going to give us a free tech. We will get +1 production on the camps of woodcutters, which per Ada will give us a little bit of extra progress towards culture. Not too much, but it will be something as we come in here. Still, again, moving on towards shipbuilding as quickly as possible. So this is pretty nice to get the camps and woodcutters in. We would prefer the mines ones, clay pits and mines, extra production, but that would require us getting guilds. I think we go for castles even first, so that we can get the upgrade for our Keshig. That way, and when we take a town, getting that extra gold to be able to upgrade our Keshigs will feel pretty nice. We're not in our golden age anymore, so I think we're going to swap back to building other buildings. I think we're going to, generally speaking, look to build production buildings when we have a pretty good option here, like breaking this fishing boat, which we don't really want because it's not giving us production, and then also being able to get in here for the 4 production here, really going to ramp things up for them. And if we don't have such an option, we'll go for the observatory. The Stonehand will be a nice little addition as well, but we will need to get more construction to really be able to make quite good use of it. I think that this is the better tile to go in on. This one has a triple adjacency to mountains, so that's going to treat any type of culture building very well. This opening salvo is very messy. They took out our swordsman here. We moved 1 cavalry into the city to defend. The other one's going to come to the left to heal here. I think we're going to need to take this force and just push on over to the right here and look to clear out these cavalry as best we can. We do have an enormous amount of shooting power, but our melee units are kind of on the wrong side here, which is a bit unfortunate, but we are making kind of a little bit short work of these guys, as long as we can be in range of our commander, because if we take a look here, having the first strike, order, and shock tactics all together is just giving us an enormous amount of combat potential here, which is going to be so powerful. And over here, we do have, our commander coming in as well. I think that we will guide the commander first. Looks like he has a Keshig in him. So he has an additional movement here, or that is the Keshig, rather. And I think that we have upgrades to put on our commander. We do not, but we are going to go down the tree with Assault and look to get extra combat on either cavalry or on ranged units will apply to our Keshigs, which is quite nice. But these guys will be able to, with the help of the commander here, or giving experience to the commander, be able to push in here. We do have this unit as well. I think we can take out their commander over time. And then we'll look to kind of shoot our way, getting the guys who are most threatening down low or down first. I guess we should have gone for the guy on the river in that kind of instance, or with that kind of logic, so that is a little bit of a mistake here, and we will promote up this guy getting ready, but hopefully they are out of position. It seems like they have so many units down here. We hope that Russia, or rather, you know, the Normans, under Catherine, can do some work up here in the north, either taking out or taking down cities, and so I think that we just have to clear our way out through a lot of units, so we'll just be kind of playing safe, looking to clear the units before we are able to get a little bit of a push off here. Also, incidentally, we're slowing everyone else down. By having a lot of fights, it makes it a lot harder for other people to accumulate legacy points, other than the non-sufficient Orbis ones, and so that should help us out as well, you know, in terms of prolonging the age to be able to possibly quad golden in this age. We get a bit of a timely endeavor here from Amina. We will support it, and that'll be quite nice, giving us a +3 combat here. We've split up our forces, one in 2 different spots to help out 2 different cities here. We're looking to kind of move these guys over while simultaneously, you know, getting some damage in. I think we're going to take out this unit here. If the cavalry comes in on us, that's fine. It takes pressure off the city, and we've already taken out a couple of units over here by McKenna, but it does look like we're getting a slow and steady progress here. I suppose we can move one of these units on over to be able to body block. We're building a catapult out of this city, planning on transforming this into a push into the south, although we might be kind of overestimating how many units we have and what we can do with these units. They are quite strong here, but the enemy seems to have way more units and quite substantive combat bonuses, although we have quite a bit now too. We have the military aid, and even with a damaged unit, we're getting our Keshigs up to the same combat or similar combat as the Corsair here, despite the fact that they're a ranged unit, and so our ability to stack both the archer bonuses and also cavalry bonuses is turning into something that is quite interesting. We got quite a few turns on these guys, another 8. I hope that they make it. These guys in Kaith, we also hope that they make it 6 turns here, and the texture of our run will change quite dramatically depending on whether we get these 2, because that's a matter of having 2 city-states and 3 city-states and +3 combat and +6 production in all cities or all settlements, or, you know, having +5 combat and 10 production, which is quite a bit better for us, but we're still kind of ramping as we did last age with, you know, bonuses that scale as time goes on. We just have a way faster ramp with Wampum Belt than we did last age, and also with Enchantress of Numbers taking some time to get going. So we notice they were being a little sneaky here, going for the former capital. We're going to look to defend this. We also have this town which has a specialization available. We're going to go for a hub town, which is going to give us a +4 influence. This will be pretty good on the yields. We're not really wanting specifically to be shipping food to Athenae, but it's not going to be too bad right now. Athenae hasn't grown too much yet, and so we will get a little bit of a faster specialist. We will have a little bit of growth here, and as long as the influence is going to be good for us, we'll keep it like this, and after that we'll probably switch it back to growing town or look to upgrade it to a city. We also do get civ exchange, and we get a very important one. We're going to take this out because we've already soused everyone we can, and we are going to be able to put in the very powerful +5 combat strength of 4 cavalry units, and so this will help us out. We will also be able to make some moves here. We will kind of pull back from this position a little bit here, keep a couple units here, but this commander and a couple of Keshigs, we will be able to move on over here, and then since we have the rapid deployment or the lightning blitz or whatever the thing is called, the first in the tree on here, we will be able to move on assault. We will be able to move just after deploying, and so these guys will effectively get to be able to slingshot over here, and we will see just how much combat strength we are getting. Well, not kind of as much as we had or wanted. Even Stevens here, we will go for this here, and then I think with this guy we will be able to walk one up and then go for the cavalry. Actually, we don't want to walk one up. Just kidding, because we want to be in range of the commander for the experience and the promotion. which incidentally is going to help out quite a bit here, as will the combat strength on defense. We will get +3 combat strength for cavalry units when attacking now with this guy. So next turn it is going to be a little bit stronger on the attack. We are also nicely getting to heal up when we take out units, as kind of our unit enables, which is, I think, kind of a win more-ish, mechanic. If you're killing units, you're making progress, and it lets you make more progress. And so it's not that useful a mechanic for deity, but it will be helping us out here. We're gonna move these guys in, and these guys are full health, and this is with our really good commander, so we're gonna do absolute tons of damage here. Yeah, we're gonna be able to just two-shot in on this guy. We'll move next to the commander, and we will be able to just get a ton of damage down. I think we will go for taking this guy down to size. Over the course of 2 turns, we should be able to take him out. If the Courser attacks us, we'll just heal up instead of going for that. And we have some awkward spot here. I suppose we maybe shouldn't have crossed the river, and that was maybe a mistake. But we will kind of look to loop around and get this guy over here, and I think that we are going to look to slow these thing down and get our catapult to a little bit of a better square where he's going to be able to stay defensive, and they're probably going to take out this Keshig, which is a bit unfortunate, but next turn we have our celebration, and I think we go for production, and then we produce another wave of Keshigs out from the cities, and now quite a lot of their units have been cleared up, so I'm guessing that this is the push where we just kind of get to remove our enemies from the continent and get a bunch of extra units per the bonus, where every time we get a cavalry, or we will get a cavalry unit every single time we take a settlement. I think that was a bonus of ours. I'm not sure exactly where it is on, though. Maybe it's not. But we're making progress here. We're making progress into them. We just have to try and keep an eye on our cities, make sure they don't get taken over, and also keep an eye on our city-states, soon to be. So with our little bit of choice here, I think we're going to take influence towards initiating endeavors. And the endeavors are actually pretty good right now, and we'd love to ally Ben Franklin. Or I think we'd like to ally Ben Franklin. The idea being, with more allies, we'll get more of those 10% modifiers, but going for Ben Franklin being happy with us, using these, just 84 influence in order to get +12. If he accepted these, or if he promoted these, that's +12 of each of these for us a turn for, 10 turns. This is going to represent 120 of each of these, and so that'll be pretty nice for us at the moment, and we don't even have to do any sort of spying with our endeavors. We have cleared out Mycenae completely from enemies, and so now we are moving these guys on over to Kasambi, where the catapult will be able to allow us to help push, and we are clearing out the enemies here, getting rid of all of them. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think we could actually just move forward one with all these guys, move this guy forward because he's on the road, so he will get additional movement, and then we should be able to take out the units. Let's see how low we get this guy. Alright, so we don't get that guy as low as we'd like, but this will leave him alive, which is actually kind of nice because we will get to heal off him with our low Keshig as we get to take him out, and this Keshig should also get to heal up here as we begin to push. And now we are in a position where I think that we are starting to go for this town because it's undefended. Our units are already here. We can bombard it, and from here we can look to, after we clear this out, bring these guys up and raise this settlement. So the first city, or settlement rather, is about to fall here, which is going to be good for us, and of course bad for them. I think we're going to raise it. I don't think it's that good a settlement, and so we will bring it down, and we will move this commander up. Oh, we will pretend like we selected the commander the first time, and we will be able to get this guy in transition as well, sacking this city. And then I don't think there's actually that much defense here on what was the former capital for him, so that is going to be a bit unfortunate for him, but of course great for us. We will manage to keep pushing here. Wow, do we really one-shot? We're up to 58 strength here. That is absolutely incredible. Now we have 10 from the horse resources, 3 from the suzerain stuff, so we're not getting too much from the suzerain suzerain stuff. But we are getting +8 from our commander, then +5 from, you know, our civic, and it all just adds up. And then we heal back to full health, and so I think we're going to even get to come in here and get to shoot him again. So as we look at it, we're starting to bring up over here to be able to defend this, but these guys might be fine without our assistance. They might be a-okay. It looks like we can take out this guy, and then next turn, oh, just kidding, we can't take out anything. But I don't think that they take the city next turn based off what they're doing. We did decide to go for Knight into Keshig on all of our cities in terms of our production here as well. I just felt that that would be a little bit better because we are running out of our melee units, the swordsmen, to have up in front, and we do want a little bit of a front line for our archers. Also up here, we do have Ben Franklin being happy with us, but he is unfriendly with Amina. This might mean war with Amina, which will mean a worse scouting and this type of stuff, but we're still going to go for an alliance here with him, and so that'll help us out, get a little bit more yields, and we will also get 900 gold for having dispersed a town, which gives us a bunch of extra gold, and so now we can look to buy settlers. We don't want to build the settlers. We have a huge malice to production on the settlers, and so this is what we're going to want to go for. Why is settler not in here? Excuse me. I think I know why, actually. This place needs to grow first. So what we can do is, this is not like an essential tile here, and so what we can do is, we know we are probably going to have more saw pits. We're going to come here, we're going to brick the tile, and then that will give us a growth, which incidentally will bring us one step closer to this gold here, which is a treasure fleet resource currently, and now as size 5, we will be able to buy up a settler, and so we will do that. That's going to be where our gold is going to be going for some time now, and we'll look for a place to kind of get in a nice settle. I'm not sure exactly where we want to go. We want to get treasure fleet resources, and we want to be on the coast. Unfortunately, we don't have that here. We're assuming we maybe have something like that here, but we don't have it scouted out at all, so maybe you should have made some different moves with the scout. We've been collecting the goodie huts that got revealed. That's pretty nice. That got revealed from being the suzerain of this city-state, but maybe we should have just beelined up north because this is kind of the latitude at which the treasure fleet resources spawn, and so getting eyes on those a little bit faster would have been maybe a little bit better for us. So we have an option here for a suzerain bonus. I think that we are going to be able to get more out of 5% gold for every city-state you're a suzerain of, and this will trigger us to gain a tech mastery here, which incidentally gives us a little bit of culture. The culture masteries are worth quite a bit more for us, just in a general sense, but I think that what we're going to do is we're going to get this guy coming on over, but then we're going to buy a scout, and we should have bought a scout earlier, just another scout to come across here. I really do think buying scouts is pretty useful. If you can get down settlements a turn earlier, or you can get things done a turn earlier for the low investment of 100 gold, this is pretty good. We do have coming in just 2 turns the final suzerain here, but this is a little bit of extra combat for us as we start to march down on Kasambe to take it out. Incidentally, these guys are super willing to take peace. They are willing to give up a whole lot, but I think that we're just going to take it all anyways, and their units are just I think that they do that when the balance of power shifts really poorly, and I think for the most part we've just kind of exhausted or taken out most, if not all, of their units. I guess we do have this awkwardness down here that we will start to shift our units over towards dealing with rather than you know, letting them heal on up, but I think that with the knight coming in here, and these 2 Keshigs coming over, we should be able to hold here just fine, and we will bring the knights to bear, you know, on these other cities here, and just completely clear this out, just except for this. Can't clear out Catherine. She's an ally. Damn. So here we will get culture buildings. We'll receive +1 culture from every city-state we're a Suz of, and by doing so, we will gain an additional civic here. Combat strength on infantry is not going to be useful for us. The happiness is going to be pretty medium, but in terms of where we want to go on the tree next, we do want to go for the kiln. You know, just as soon as we unlock shipbuilding, I think we're going to go for unlocking the kiln and trying to get a bunch of culture so that we can try and research a bunch of these masteries, and then the masteries, you know, with us should get things rolling in terms of us generating a ton of science and culture as things come along here. We will raise yet another city, and while this seems really good from a militaristic perspective, I feel like we're falling behind a little bit on buildings, and I'm not sure if this is the open to do, or to have done these 2 waves of building military units here as a result of going for a particular, government style. I think that the 20% food is going to feel really bad later on, and we would have, this is probably not worth having gone towards. We should have just built what units we wanted with a little bit less combat strength, although I think in contexts like multiplayer, this is maybe going to be a lot better or a lot more interesting. So we're going to raise this settlement as well and look to push in on their former capital here, and you know, this is also undefended. We're going to be raising that pretty soon here. This is undefended. We are making progress towards, or it's sparsely defended, it's barely defended. We are making progress here as well, and so we should be able to take out another couple cities or settlements in just a couple turns, and we don't have our unique districts kind of as a road network just yet. We haven't gotten them in many places. They require flat terrain, and I think we're not working very much flat terrain because a lot of what we're working is mines, but we will be able to use these to kind of move our troops around a little bit faster. You can see we can build it over this, but we don't really want to be working this tile long term anyways, so that's kind of one of the reasons we haven't gone for it, and we haven't been able to make good use of it, partially because we've spent so much turns building up our military. But I suppose we are going to get 2 cities, and we are also going to really, really weaken Charlemagne and Tecumseh in the next 5 to 10 turns here. So this turn is looking to be a very, very dark turn for Tecumseh. Last turn, we picked this up. We did get a free unit. We got a free knight. So we are getting a free unit every time we take a settlement here. And this, it doesn't look like he can hold this. Or allow me to rephrase, there is no way that he could possibly hold out against this. And so we are going to be taking down the city now, this turn. I do believe, just kidding. We need to occupy it this turn. I think that we might have misplayed actually a little bit there, but I think that we might be able to still get it anyway. No, we need to bombard. Okay, this is fine. We're just 1 turn slower than we otherwise would be because we sequenced stuff a little bit funny, but actually, no, we wouldn't have been able to take this anyways, but next turn, this is falling. This is falling this turn. We will bombard it down a little bit here, and then we will raise this to the ground. And so this is going to be the 3rd city we've been raising, and we're approaching our settlement limit just by virtue of raising all these cities, which is quite a bit rough. We're going to raise this settlement down to the dirt, and we will be able to grow. Now, here we have already gotten our unique district here, the adjacencies for that, and the adjacencies for what is a really good tile that we will be building over. And so now we need to either go for I think what we do is we actually go for the construction here, or the production here, with the idea that we will eventually put a tile, or we will eventually be putting a cultural building, a kiln probably back here, building over the kiln. We'll nuke this tile, and then we'll be bringing the specialist on over here. Although we actually don't really need the production. Let's just go for the specialist over here. We eventually want to put specialists in here as the problem, but we can't get a kiln there unless we buy it, and we are just not that money rich in terms of what's going on in this game. We have a lot of production. The production we've translated into units, but we do not have the flexibility of money, unfortunately, and so this is a little bit rough for us. So is our endeavor over here to find a reasonable place to settle. There's maybe a place up here. We're going to take a look, but it looks like, no, this is Amina's territory, and so we're going to have to run down and settle somewhere over here, somewhere we know not what. Incidentally, this is actually just a beautiful settle spot right here, getting a full gamut of resources. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That would be really, really nice if we could swing it. But coming back over here, we are crashing over as well in this section. I think that our... Let's get this commander up, and then let's bombard this guy down with what we have remaining. That should take him out, and then we are going to start pushing forward. So next turn, we will be taking both of these former capital cities. It's time to be taking some former capitals. We just need to polish that one off, and then just pew-pew a little bit onto you here. I think we're going to use... We're trying to be disciplined and use that. Really get the most out of everything that we possibly can, but this is the knight coming in, and that's the city. We will keep this settlement, because it is quite a bit better. It has a bunch of resources, and it is going to be pretty nice. This one's going to be raised, but now that this one's going to be raised, we'll be able to get the gold into this district, and so we'll be able to work the gold over there. We also are, of course, are going to be able to take out this one as well. Maybe not this turn, considering this unit just spawned, but we can do a little bit of that, get the unit down low here. We can heal up our Keshig if we finish this guy off with him, so we will choose to do it that way, and then we can get a lot of damage down onto the district here. And so we'll be able to take out that district next turn. I think we're going to come down here, because we can shoot the district, the last remaining district here, in the capital for this guy. But they will fall next turn. But this is also looking like it's probably... We'll hold off to next turn, because that way we will guarantee ourselves to not lose a unit. But the commanders are getting very, very strong here as well. We are starting to get, you know, into the bastion tree. We already have the extra combat strength. I think we're going to go for the military range. And we can even think of bringing this, you know, we just need one tech and we can move our military units overseas. All embarked land units may enter deep ocean. And so that may be the way to go. And then just deck on a mina and just run through a mina as well in order to get our treasure fleet resources, because unfortunately the latitude where the treasure fleet resources spawn is just hopelessly bogged up on this island, or sorry, on this continent. And then we are discovering a little bit over here what there is to offer in terms of treasure fleet resources, and we do see what's probably going to be a good settle. We will scout around here, and so after we finish off this city, the first thing we probably do is buy a settler out of there, which we aren't allowed to do because it will be raising. But we could also peace out with these guys a little bit early and look to take some extra cities rather than... If we peace out, for example, with Charlemagne here and ask for this, he'll say yes. And so if we did that, we would not have to wait for it to stop rebelling. But I don't think that's worth it. I think we just want to raise a whole bunch of their cities. So right on the 41 turn mark, just a turn late than kind of where we wanted to end, we do get this critical turn in here where we are going to be piecing out Tecumseh at the very least. We are going to be raising Epone. Unfortunately, this was formerly a city-state. We can't release it to being a city-state. We really wish that this is how this worked, but we're going to raise this instead. And Tecumseh is down to, if we take a look here, he's down to 2 cities. 2 cities. Now, I think that this city is entirely landlocked, so Tecumseh will stop being an issue if we take his other city, which he will be willing to give up because he knows, okay, he knows where this is going. And so we won't have to deal with Tecumseh anymore, and this will also be a reasonable, you know, city for us here. He'll say, don't make me regret it. I'm pretty sure he already regrets it. But there's decent resources here, and, oh man, the AI built 2 ageless buildings on top of each other. We were just kind of perusing through to see just how badly the AI scuffed the buildings, and they didn't scuff them that bad in this city. It does have a beret. It is relatively high, you know, what is it, settlement count, or settlement count. It is rather relatively high population, but in these foreign conquered cities, these will be even better for us, and so we could consider doing this. I'm thinking we probably end up building over the beret, because I think that's a farm tile, but it is a bit unfortunate. Cannot be placed on rough river terrain or a tile with a feature. I'm thinking that this also includes woodcutters or like forests, and if that is the case, I didn't realize that we couldn't place this on logging camps. This building starts to look a whole lot worse because it can only get placed on top of farms, so that means we need to work farms if we want to do the Or2. So I think we will probably just forget about the Or2 and mainly look to use stone heads instead. as a means of generating value or additional marginal value on our tiles, just because we can't put the or twos on top of anything good. But we also did want to show this little part where we take this city as well, which incidentally will give us non-sophist orbis. We hope that that's not the golden age that it's given us. No, it's not, which is fantastic. We don't want the golden age, and we will keep this settlement. It has a whole bunch of wonders, and with it we will get some attribute points because we picked up the expansionist one, which is great. 25% food refunded now, kind of here for us, which is going to be very good because we are pushing specialists in all of our cities, and we will also get to go for either 5% total culture or culture from specialists. I think we're going to go with culture from specialists, and so that'll get things going here. And I think that we're going to conclude the episode here where we've really just absolutely monstrously, kind of destroyed. Oh, we let Tecumseh out. That's no good. That's no good. Alright, so we will be wrapping up this episode. I think that the fact that we lost 2 Suzes is really kind of painful. We're down to 5 suzerains, which I think is maybe the point at which, in the modern era, we maybe stop using wampum belt. It is really nice with the 5, and to be fair, we will really be able to protect the 5 remaining city-states, because as we look to push out Charlemagne here and take him off the map as well, there will really be no one who can kind of contend or take out the city-states at game start. It was really unfortunate we didn't have a very wide spread of cities, but this is partially from us having that slow start in the last age. We weren't able to have as much map dominance in this age in terms of having close by settlements that we could bring units in to try and body block for our city states. There still might be another city state here or somewhere in the fog, at which point we maybe consider it, but this city-state might get clapped, especially if we do end up fighting Amina, which I think is going to be the plan for getting or generating us treasure fleet points. We see that Taekwondo, moving forward, is going to generate 3 treasure fleet points, and so just beelining that and conquering that is probably a good way to go, and we already have all the military accumulated, so if you're not using it, you're kind of losing it in terms of the value. We invested a lot of production into the military. I think we have to keep fighting for it to be good, but this is what we managed to get it done in 40-some turns. Generally, I don't like playing militaristically. I'm not 100% sure if this is good or bad. We're a little bit behind on buildings, but obviously we got a whole lot for our troubles, including a ton of wonders in this city. I think we have here the Mundo Perdido. We have the Hanging Gardens. I think there's one more in here, and the Hamanga Maui, which gave us another attribute point. So 2 attribute point wonders is very, very strong for us. Yeah, so this is how things are going. I still think we are getting in the ramping phase, and so we're going to get to see if we get to pop off at the very end in terms of maybe getting double cultural future civic. This is what we're going to try and push for and see if we can get done, with kind of all the stuff we have available to us in terms of rushing the wonder relatively early on. The Erdine Zoo, rushing this, this is what we'll be like kind of building into next, and it's still relatively early in the age, and this is not normally a building you can get so quick, but we're really not going to need that extra juiced up military unless we just full combat everyone. We could look to wipe out the map at this age. I don't think that's what we do, but definitely seeing a lot of the combat, synergies and bonuses kept playing out here for ourselves with the Mongols, where there's just so many sources of points of combat that we have here. We can't really get a highlight on here in terms of looking at, there we go. There's just so many sources that we have of combat that really, really enables us. This is without an adjacency to the commander. We have horses, this is with the adjacency of the commander giving the first strike. The Baghurtur is a tradition, which is pretty good. I think order and shock tactics is in the traditions / civics, and military aid is working for us as well. One of these is actually from the being suzerain of the city-state as well. That's the additional +5. So we're taking a basic 20 combat unit, and we're turning it into an absolute monster. So Mongols definitely feeling pretty nice to play in terms of if you go for this like militaristic route, despite not really having anything that helps us in terms of Ada or our mementos, we're still able to kind of run over the AI here.